covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Heilman and Jim Mernier.
Welcoming fans of the 50-yard fight, this is the Inside the Walls podcast. Zach Heilman in, as always, to kick things off as we're gearing up for Week 7 action in the National Arena League. 3 full games on the slate this week, so yes, you will get a little bit more than just one. We also get earlier NAL action, so if you're tuning in today as of the show, you might be going, hey, why is this posted earlier? If you're a diehard fan of ours, why are you watching in the morning? Well, simple fact is, the week's kicking off a little earlier, so we have to kick off a little earlier too. We got Friday Night Football in the NAL, something that is pretty rare in terms of scheduling. We were talking last year about how the fact we were getting more Sunday games. Now we got Friday games. We got 2 of them this year. This is the first of 2 on the slate. Also got, of course, a full 3-game slate on the docket. We'll be discussing entirely as we go along. Let me bring in my co-host, kick things off fully. Can't do this whole show until he is on here. My good pal, good friend, my buddy, the man who has designed all this amazing graphical content on here. It is Jim Mernier. Jim, good to see you. As always, we got Friday Night Football in the National Arena League. That is, like I said, it is very much a rarity for this league, but still young in its history. So might be seeing that more depending on how things grow as we go. But we'll get to test that out a little bit with viewership and attendance this week, and with a good one too over in Carolina. That's the key here. It's the game of the week over there for us, and I think for most people, is you get the Carolina Rumble on a Friday night right after you get off work.
Yeah, if you're listening to this podcast right now, it's roughly, I think, 10:06 a.m. on the East Coast, if you're listening. So tonight, YouTube, Fayetteville hosts the Carolina Cobras, a Carolina Cobra team that just came off a big-time one-sided, you can say almost one-sided win against the Orlando Predators on their home field. Now they travel a long way down to Fayetteville from Greensboro, a long distance.
A long trip on the bus.
From our special guest that joins our show later today, Trey Long, about an hour and a half drive, so it's not really a long distance. It's going to be an interesting matchup, the Carolina Rumble. I've come to think of it, it's almost like a clone versus a clone, because both teams are very similar to each other and have players who have played with each other on that Carolina team from last year. So it's going to be pretty intriguing, but we also have 2 other games this weekend. We have a big showdown out in Odessa, so big that we have mascots fighting against luchadors. Some wrestler, I think it is, Mysterio. Not Ray, some San Antonio gunslinger fan that Mysterio's in, but still.
Feeling like a soon-to-be official mascot for the Gunslingers. Unless we can find Sheriff Power. We forgot about, and then we're reintroduced to Sheriff Power this week and went, where the hell's Sheriff Power? Greatest mystery in the NAL right now. Where is he gone?
And also, we have 2 historical and arena landscape franchises colliding in Jacksonville this weekend. 6 combined championships between the 2 clubs will Showdown and Visor Veteran Memorial Friday night, where the Albany Empire, led by Jonathan Bain and Coach Manas, take on Sam Castronova and the Jacksonville Sharks. That's weird to keep saying that, but still, it's usually Bain's a Shark and Castronova is a Empire. But yes, we got 3 big matchups. We're claiming it on this show today as the pseudo rivalry week of the National Arena League, because we have historical games. We hopefully have 2 births of 2 rivalries between both San Antonio and West Texas, and Fayetteville and Carolina. Of course, Jacksonville and Albany already have somewhat of a history with each other. The 2 organizations have very historic and golden past with trophies and awards. So it's going to be an interesting Game 7, really. Interesting Week 7.
Week 7.
Of the National Arena. We're already in Game 7, ladies and gentlemen. This is do or die today. But also, before we continue on, follow us on Twitter. So on all social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And I already said, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, the big ones, at NWallsPod. Also, join the conversation in our Discord page. We have gotten some more feedback. We have some more people on there. Have a couple Mustang people there now, so it's starting to grow. Link is in our description. Also, coming soon to a store near you in the Muck t-shirts and Don't Be a Jack Out of the Box t-shirts. Um, they will be in all colors from every NAL team. Red and black for the Sharks, black and red for the Predators, or vice versa. But yes, the deal's getting close, so I'm just telling you they're coming soon, and so watch out for that from the Inside the Walls podcast. So, but also had a request, and I want you, the fans who are listening to us, if you're in the chat right now, this is not live, but thank you for listening. If you're in the chat right now, should we, Inside the Walls podcast, create a T-shirt at the end of the year for the 4 seed and call them the champions of the muck? So if they get the playoffs, they're the champions of a muck. Let us know in the chat, on Twitter, on Facebook. If you do, yes, do it. Whoever is the 4 seed this year going to the playoffs, they will have a T-shirt created, champions of the muck, because we got it. Got some not offers, a suggestion, which NFL, NBA, NHL, a lot of the teams have locked in, clinched, we're in, like in type of T-shirts. Why not the NAL do something like that, where the 3 playoff teams, the top 3 get in, and the 4 seed gets the champion of the muck, like they're the wild card team. So let us know if you like that idea. We'll put that forward for, I don't know, 10 weeks from now, where playoff season begins here in the National Arena League.
Didn't your Jaguars have a clinch shirt?
Yes.
Anyway, this year, I mean, credit that came down to the final week of the year, but I mean,
we had 2. We had AFC South, and we're clinched.
There you go.
So yeah,
that's what I thought. Yeah, I mean, just drop a comment in our video or if you want on social media, add us and let us know what you think. But yeah, that was a nice surprise Jim informed me of this week. So, that'll be coming out pretty shortly. Should be fun designs where that phrase is starting to spread around a little bit for some of our fans and gaining some traction. So we'll keep gladly using the muck as well. I've been trying to get back into, I would say, practice with Jack out of the box. We got away from it for a little bit, but we'll get back into gear. But, hey, getting our own stuff. The muck is sticking.
Well, it's sticking when you have coaches from other teams mention it on their shows or on TV or on their radio broadcast. It catches on. So if you're new to the league, ladies and gentlemen, you're like, "What's the heck is the muck?" Unless our fans are already chatting on the chat right now, or you see when you first watch or listen to it on podcast platform. Hello, podcasters.
Yeah, that too.
The muck is the team, a group of teams are battling for the 4 seed. They're usually the muck. I mean, it's such a cluster because over the last couple of years, the muck has been sub 500 teams fighting for that last playoff spot. And then I came up with the name about 2 years ago. I'm like, what? It's getting very mucky in here because no one wants to take the 4 seed. It's just a cluster. So the term the muck began. So right now, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are considered the muck. And then right now, Fayetteville will be considered the champions of the muck right now. But if you're a team that's above the muck line, which is the 4 spot, you're sitting pretty good right now. But technically, right now, the Sharks can be considered in the muck because they have the same record with the Fayetteville Mustangs. So that's where the muck came from. It was just a idea that popped up about 2 years ago, describing Carolina, New Jersey, Orlando, and Jacksonville in 2001, right after the pandemic, because Columbus and Albany were just kicking everyone's behind. So the muck was just who can be the 3, who can be the 4. That was the whole muck that year. But yes, for you newcomers to the National Arena League, and also hello to the new fans. I know the National Arena League's been trending over the last couple of days, apparently. Again, more recently. Yeah. So welcome to the community. Thank you for finding this show. Remember, like, subscribe, click the bell. Like a good friend of ours, it builds morale. Welcome to the beautiful arena game. Trust me, we love doing this, and the players love you guys that join, go to these arenas and join them. Great action, heartfelt, passion from these fan bases. You'll enjoy it. So welcome to the new people who are being reintroduced to arena football.
Yeah. Good to have you in with us. Good to have you along for the ride. And we've got quite the journey still ahead, not even at the halfway point of the year. Slowly approaching that, but we are still through in the thick of the first half of the season right now to get things started. But yeah, the muck very much active every week of the year. It never goes away anymore. And probably won't even if with the expansion of the league. That probably won't even that'll stick around for years to come. So let's I would say dive in on our own talk about the muck in the form of our power rankings when at it. Week 7 rankings and awards, of course. So along with the rankings, we were going to be trying to bring up more of the offensive, defensive, special teams, and Ironman awards from the previous week's action because they do usually drop later in the week, so it's a good time to just kind of recap that is during this second show. Might as well kick things off. We'll talk the rankings first while we get started, and I think what's fascinating, we talk about the coaches poll being. I think the one that a lot of people look for is seeing what the internal guys have to say about it. We always get our own with the media, but the coaches one, pretty, I think, straightforward. San Antonio, Carolina keeping its spot, Jacksonville, Fayetteville jumping and staying up at 4 right now. Really, Orlando, kind of the only one to move. I mean, credit, that's because of a loss, one game. You're not going to see a crazy amount of movement. And a lot of these guys, even in our media poll, coaches, I think they more value kind of the previous week's work is how it goes. So right now, there's your standard 7 on the coaches side of things. On the media side of things, though,
Brace yourselves.
It's hey,
Exactly the same thing.
I mean, no change in terms of between the media and coaches. Now, from last week, though, there is definitely some movement. So the Cobras, they solidify themselves in our media poll as number 2. Last week, things were flipped. Fayetteville jumps up. Predators drop down. And then you'll notice as well, we do a point system because not everyone agrees completely. So the Preds, Warbirds, and Empire all have 22 points per se in terms of votes. The Gunslingers out of the poll, 10 first place votes, which is pretty much unanimous that they picked number 1 out of all of them. We try and do it as we can best describe it. Think of college football ranking style in terms of how we do our media poll. But yeah, a few movements up the board, one way or another. But I think the main storyline, like you talked at the end of this past week, is the Preds do drop a little bit because they do got a few things to figure out.
Yeah, and it's for the first time between the two polls and between the two groups, us and the coaches, we all agree on the 7 teams in order. And what's unique is about like collecting the votes from all these from all the media personnel in the league who cover the league. I find it funny that all of us kind of agree that Orlando, Warbirds, and Empire are all in that same group. They're all 5, 6, or 7 in the flip-flop. There is a person out there I'm not going to mention who did the media poll that has Albany at number 3. So that tells you how many points that number 3 got. So if that person didn't vote Albany number 3, Albany would have been a little lower or for your points. But it's pretty unique how our opinions on my opinions of the poll. I'll just tell you right now that my poll that I did Gunslingers, Cobras, Sharks, Mustangs, Warbirds, Empire, and Predators. I had Predators last because last week I had Predators at 6. So gone down, and I think it's more me justifying that Baines in Albany now, which will help, and Manas is back, which will help. So the poll is unique, but then again, Gunslingers are number 1 for a reason. They're unbeaten, but those Cobras are right there. They're 1 or 2 media members away from getting first place votes, and they're competing as the number 1 ranked team in the nation. But right now, or in our league, it's a pretty interactive poll. I can say we can tell how the league is being. We want to say this is rivalry week. We also want to say it's kind of a pseudo separation weekend, possibly for the top 3. And you can see by both polls what coaches and us believe. It's starting to form. Question is, would it be executed the way that we think it's going to be executed? So we have that separation weekend, but we won't know until the games are played, especially tonight in Fayetteville, and then capitalizing or capping it off in Odessa late Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can maybe say that there will be a little more definitive changes. I'm holding out on the separation Saturday talk right at the moment, just or separation week, whatever you want to call it. We used to call it separation Sunday or Saturday, depending on how it went in the NAL week of games. And the only reason I'm doing that is because even if you say you have the situation where Fayetteville, Odessa, and Albany lose, that still leaves a 1 game gap from the 4th spot. And that's kind of where I'm at. And I think that maybe you can say Carolina and San Antonio make that separation, but even then, you still have in the top 4, I'm not there yet fully because I think that you can still see some stuff later down the line. But
And it's also pretty early too.
that's part of why.
Yeah.
It's not like, so we're not even a halfway point yet of the season. Now, if certain trends continue, say you get Fayetteville, they lose a few in a row, or you get Jacksonville, Carolina, and San Antonio, they just start keep winning on winning streaks. Then yeah, we can talk about the bottom half and the top half kind of starting to duke it out for different reasons at that point, but not fully there yet. But
And also
it does push towards.
We can also we can speculate what happens. In previous seasons, we have seen the top 3 teams beat each other up, but they feast on the lower part of the league. So you'll have the top 3 teams pull away from the pack because they're dogfighting between each other, so they're round robining each other. But when they play everyone below them, they're winning those games. We possibly could see that, and usually in a lot of professional sports, you do see that, where the top 3 teams or the top teams in each division, no matter what league you watch, they compete with the top tier teams, but they also get the wins against the lower tier teams when they're on their schedule. Because honestly, when you're a professional organization, that's what if you want to compete for championships, you beat the teams that are going to give you a challenge, but you're supposed to guarantee you're going to beat teams that should be beaten early or lesser teams. But we might see that, but again, it's week 7. We're going to have a semi type of schedule in about 3 weeks time again in the NAL, where we have San Antonio taking on Carolina, Jacksonville taking on Fayetteville, and I want to say Albany and Orlando play each other again. So that could be a potential either some crazy jumping again, or an actual separation where we'll see a definite separation between a 4 and a 5, where the champion of Muck could be crowned very early compared to past years. But yeah, it's as people who cover this league, it's a semi separation weekend. It could be the top 3 could start showing that they are, the top tier teams. Also, Fayetteville can win, and we got just a big cluster again where San Antonio has the option if Fayetteville wins this weekend, and let's say Jacksonville wins, and San Antonio wins. San Antonio got that almost a 2-game lead. A 2-game lead plus tiebreakers are both Fayetteville and Jacksonville. So that's 2.5 right there. So you get that small separation of the weekend. But that's the joy of this game. The joy I loved about this game is arena football season is just like the game itself. When you think everything is going the way you think, we have complete chaos. That's why we call it the 1-minute rule in our league. We had a couple last year. We had complete chaos. We thought it was going to be separation Sunday, and all the lower tier teams won, and all the top tier teams lost. And you're like, oh well, it's not something. Now it's become the whole league is amok because it was so competitive at that point until it stars held down until everything separated. So yeah, unique. So yeah, too early. I agree. Too early for separation Sunday or separation weekend. But I see it in a couple of weeks because there's some pivotal matches coming up here in a couple of weeks. So, but speaking about last week, we talked about Homeboy last week. One-man band Zach Brown. One-man band Zach Brown had a hell of a year. Hell of a week. And the year he's playing great football.
Yes, he is.
Honestly, if he's listening to the show, I want to say, Zach, I think you played the best game of your career this past weekend against the Orlando Predators. Of course, Mike Green, he makes he gets a shout out today or later in the show by his colleague and friend of Trey Long. He is the defensive player of the week, and of course the GOAT, Darius Prince, special teams player of the week. You can't deny that the guy ever had 2 kick returns back to back. Him and Adam Smith were having a personal game between them each other earlier this week. So um, again, one game, but the right man, Zach, the one man band, got exactly the award he deserved because that boy was dominant this past weekend.
No, did everything and anything he wanted
Hmm.
in the run game. Probably one of the best running games arena that I've seen in a little while. Just
Agreed.
finding whatever he pleases, touchdown lanes for basically him and Verls as well. Both of them were having a day, but I mean Brown was able to find lanes and break long runs that you don't often get at that consistent of a pace. So yeah, kudos to him. Obviously, great defender himself too, being in the middle of defense and great pursuit. So hats off to him. Definitely deserving the awards. I better hear nobody talk about, but it's just one game. Yeah, but you know what? Dude still comes out and balls every night. So let's not even devalue. I haven't seen that this week. I'm just saying if I do see somebody say that, please kick rocks because I don't want to hear that whatsoever. Darius Prince, same deal. I mean, any game comparison, that would be a special teams player of the week for sure. 2 touchdown returns himself. And then of course Mike Green. I mean, what the hell else could you say about Mike Green's day as well? If it wasn't Zach Brown and company running the ball against the Predators, it was Mike Green making long returns or scoring touchdowns off interceptions for the Cobras. So, yeah, fantastic weekend if you were Carolina Cobra or Darius Prince himself, the GOAT, if you will. But yeah, congrats to all of them. Good performances. And now we officially can move on to week 7. We close the book, the chapter on week 6. That's the final gasp. It is now time to jump into week 7 of the National Arena League. And we have, as you've put it, Jim, a rivalry week of sorts. We'll dive in, at least in some capacity. San Antonio, West Texas, the battle for Texas. That's what we're labeling it. Having fans, the Gunslingers, got to give kudos to the organization. They're doing a bus trip for fans, buying tickets. That should be leaving. I believe as this recording drops, it should be the next day. So Saturday at some point they'll be leaving to go to Odessa and check out the team playing up there. So really cool stuff. Always love bus trips and fan trips to go to games because you don't always see that in arena. We'll obviously hit on that with our game of the week because of the distance being so short. But I love hearing those kind of offers because if you're a diehard, that's the total trip you sign up for, and it's a blast from what we've seen. It's all about that. It's all about the love of your arena team, and you're getting to go and support them out on the road. Not something often you see in our level of sport.
No, it's very common, especially here in Florida, these bus trips because Orlando and Jacksonville was a short trip. And I think there might be something similar to that in Carolina between Fayetteville and Carolina. But still, what San Antonio has done to get their fans to go on a 5.5 hour road trip out west to Odessa in a very, driving west of out Texas, it's not boring. There's a lot of things to look at out there when you're heading west. What I've been told, it's from a certain person that I've come fond with, chatting with in our league. It's considered one of the most boringest drives to ever do. And everyone has that stretch of road in their home state where you're like, I can't, man, mile marker this to this town. Jesus, this is going to take forever. Hopefully the music is good. Apparently in Texas, there's a lot of that, no matter where you go, because it's such a big state. But still, for the organization in San Antonio, giving their fans a chance to get great hotel deals to go to Odessa, spending 2 nights, go watch your team play the West Texas Warbirds, build that rivalry up. To the San Antonio fans that are making that trip, be safe. Hopefully you have a fun journey. Go have fun with Top Gunner. Yes, I know he's kind of popping off right now, but he's a great mascot. Dude loves what he does, and he's savage because he cares. Because he's really savage. Because I want to share some stuff before we break down the game. This is what he's been posting, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching on YouTube, this is what he's been posting on Facebook. the Nobody and the Bunslingers. It's literally a cheeseburger with a ketchup and mustard thing, and he's holding it like a gun, shooting out pickles.
This week it's the Bunslingers. If you're a fan out there in Odessa,
Yeah.
follow your mascot because it's definitely pumping things up. What I love is that you're getting interactions from our buddies over at Smoking Guns. They've taken a very proactive. Them and a few other diehard Gunslingers fans have taken a very proactive approach to. I wouldn't maybe call it engaging.
Yeah.
In Top Gunner's antics and just having a laugh. But I mean, he's been savage all week. Like, there's that one right there, you know. But
Where
you
the
see the
hot
bun
dogs
theme.
or the guns. Yeah. Yeah.
And then my personal favorite's this next one. I love them. I love that moment.
We wish we could play the audio, but it's vulgar and I don't want to get flagged. But still, if you're looking on YouTube and you see who it is, you go, I've seen that TikTok. I've seen that Instagram. But yes, again, mad props to Top Gunner and mad props to the fans of San Antonio, especially our colleagues over the Smoking Guns podcast. Feeding into the antics almost, really getting this energy going. But I have to say, this is one of the most impressive weeks from Top Gunner. I don't know where this guy finds this stuff, especially this cheeseburger gun shooting pickles.
He's on his own level, Jim.
So
That's all you can do.
I'm just going to say, I'm like, man, and yes, that's what the sport needs, and that's what that rivalry needs to start something. But rivalries are not created by loyal fan bases and mascots. Rivalries are created by moments that are not planned or a certain moment or event in a game that either A, causes a team to lose, or B, rips someone's heart out. Not like heartbreaker.
Well,
not
and in
we're not doing Kaliman here. But
and in the words of Coach Gibson, it is a two-way street. You got to win against the opposition at least once. So
Agreed.
that is a crucial factor, by the way.
Yeah, it's
exchange
very crucial.
blows.
And what's very crucial about this game right here is the performance of no other than Arvell Nelson this year. Arvell Nelson has just been on point. He's averaging 223 yards per game this season. He has over 800, almost 1,000 yards passing. I think he gets it in this game. And he has 19 touchdowns this year. He is completely on another level right now. Also, the other quarterback from the other side is Daniel Smith. He's right now 657 yards passing, and he has a passing rating or passes per yard per game at 164, and he's at 7 touchdowns passes so far. So you're looking at this game, and when you're comparing quarterbacks and you're comparing teams, you compare the single caller. Arvell Nelson, I said the last show, and I said last week, he is playing MVP caliber type of ball right now. He basically gave us a little shout out without saying a shout out to us on the Smoking Guns podcast, where Phil, who is the host of the Smoking Guns, asked about a certain show, was excited that you didn't throw an interception, and he kind of acknowledged that show that mentioned that. So Arvell, thank you. Really appreciate it. But yes, stats don't lie. Numbers don't lie. Right now, Arvell Nelson is playing MVP level caliber as a quarterback. And of course, Daniel Smith, last game, played pretty well, won the game, made the big crucial pass to win the game against the Albany Empire. But the matchup I'm looking forward to in this game, these guys may not line up against each other, but this must be the battle between who's the better 5'8 receiver. Is it Kylie Rashad or Childress? That's the matchup I'm looking for in this matchup, is those two dudes. Those two dudes are so explosive, so not natural, that's not a word. So agile, there we go. So agile, so explosive, smart, great hands, great route running. And one thing is, we've noticed from Childress and from Rashad, they are both game changers, where if they go off, they can will their team to win victory, which Childress did against Albany a couple of weeks ago. So a lot of intriguing matchups here. And also the one thing I want to mention is that we mentioned before about West Texas in the past. Now they got their backside. Their Jack and their Mac is now reloaded with two studs at Starks and Shorts. My question is now is can Brooks and Turner match that intensity from a Shorts and Starks? This game 2 weeks ago would have been one-sided. I think we're going to have an old school Texas showdown, if you know what I mean. I'm really looking forward. I think this is actually a dark horse game of the week because I think West Texas has turned the corner, and I think they got the guys there to do it.
I want to see what they did with a bye week is the best way I can put it. Yes, they've been doing a lot of roster turnover. They've been plug and playing, trying to find the best fits overall. I still have a lot of questions on offensive efficiency because one game you'll have Daniel Smith where he's throwing effectively. The next, it's a struggle bus just to get 3 touchdowns on the board. So you got to give me that. First off, they're doing a lot of things that they've upgraded to where if you want to slow down opponents, I mean, yeah. If you want to run against opponents, well, absolutely. Trayvon Shorts was brought in to do 2 jobs because of the fact that he is a good runner and that he also is a very ball-hungry linebacker as well. So they brought that in. Also takes off pressure from Kerry Starks, so they can basically unleash him on the D-line and let him basically specialize and do his thing as an edge rusher. So, that helps too. Like I said, my thing is I do want to see what offensively grows out of this game. I mean, Smith, I think, clearly he's going to probably get the starting gig. They are trying to experiment and they are looking at options. They actually brought in a good QB from the FCF level named Mitch Kidd, which we don't have too many FCF crossover guys on this show that watch it, but for folks that did watch FCF, people love the guy. He was given a lot of props. So, I'm not saying that that's like something that you should be watching out for, but if things do go south and you're looking for a spark, I don't know. Guys played arena too. I'm like I said, if things come out and they're going well and that they've fixed some inefficiencies outside of Jalen Childress connection, then yeah, we're golden. But that's what I'm looking for. Like what West Texas offense am I getting? Because it can't be the effort that I saw in Albany. They're lucky they walked out of the Capital Region with a win in the first place. Yeah. And they've had 2 weeks. So I expect there's been progress. But is it enough to beat the Gunslingers? That's the thing. Because even with San Antonio having sometimes lapses every, like say, a drive or two a game, they still can, on the opposite side of the ball, make up for a deficiency or a once-game interception off of Arvell Nelson, where they can give that up and still comfortably be in it with you every step of the way.
I agree. I don't disagree with any of you in the statement you just said. One thing that I want to really know who is going to be that second receiver that shows out for West Texas. Who is that guy? Because you look over in San Antonio, you have a second receiver. That's Phil Barnett. You know who he is. He's been showing out. Phil Barnett has made more crucial catches this season so far for the San Antonio Gunslingers than he did all last year, and he's done it the first 4 weeks of the season, or the first 4 games.
Yes, sir.
But for West Texas, they did enough 2 weeks ago to win the game, and Childress had a hell of a game. He had a couple interceptions, a couple of touchdowns. Daniel Smith played good, but a good Daniel Smith cannot beat San Antonio.
I do think I have an answer for you. I'm curious as to how much he gets in terms of touches, and that's Richie Anderson, who got picked up recently for West Texas. Mm-hmm. So, because to me, if I'm looking at their receiving core, out of guys that I have trust in that can make an impact, Childress has proven it. He's their guy that was a guy that came over from rosters in the past. He stepped in. He's playing great Ironman football. Now, who's your second option? Richie's the other one I'm going to. I think you get if he's gotten involved and active, I think you see Coach Smith slide him in. And right now he's listed on, now credit, this is the NAL website, but he's listed as a wide receiver only. I believe that he would be a wide receiver only because you don't take Childress off of his good play he's playing right now. So I bet you put Anderson in this week. They signed him off, got a good talent that I think was basically overshadowed by recent transactions. And I think he's a good number 2 that you can rely on. Someone that is a little lengthier, and can go up and get the ball for you. So that's my key. But I don't know if, like I said, I don't know how well that chemistry is yet. We'll find out on Saturday. We'll find out very quickly on Saturday. But he's the man I'm looking at right now.
A key to the game for, in my opinion, for West Texas is find a way to slow this game down as slow as possible you can in arena style. I mean, like, go out there and just take 3 knees and let the clock. You can't do that. That's not. There's rules against that.
Take a look at Fayetteville's playbook from 2 weeks prior. That's what you should be doing all week. What was good with Fayetteville's game that allowed them to slow them down to 40 points and keep it to where if we don't turn the ball over, we could be talking about a different contest at the very end. That's what you should be preaching all week when you look at game film. And how did they do it?
And also, a key for them to slow down the game, hand the ball to Shorts. We've seen Shorts take over games before as a running back. Establish that running is very. I know when people say, "Well, the arena game, there's not a lot of running." Well, Zach Brown just had 65 yards last week of rushing.
Trayvon Shorts did it last year very effectively. So.
To, let's say, give Daniel Smith more chance of reading the defense. You have a running back that's very consistent, getting 6 yards or 5 yards. And no matter what football you played in, the rule is if you get 3 yards per play, you win the play. Because you get 3 first downs, you're on, 3, 6, 9, you're 3rd and 1 on your 3rd down, whatever. Well, that's what my coach said. You get 3 yards as a session.
Sure.
Even though he doesn't know how to do math. He's like, let's go. It's 4th and 1. Good job, coach. I wonder why we never won in the playoffs. But still, in arena, 3 yards is because you're going for on the 4th down anyways. Most of the time, you're going for a 4th down arena. If in 1 yard arena, you have a guy in Shorts that can make that 1 yard. That will help Daniel Smith. But with the addition of Mitch Kidd, there's a question: is the what they say the collar, not collar? Is Coach Tate going to be fast on the switch? They get Mitch Kidd in there if something goes south quick, because San Antonio is a type of team. What I've noticed over the last couple of weeks, they like to bait their opponents. Like, oh, okay, you guys by 14. Oh, okay, you guys by 14, and they just bait their opponents into a dullness, and then they strike. And then they either win the game or a couple of weeks ago, they took away or pulled away from Fayetteville. They baited San Antonio, they baited Jacksonville, and they baited Carolina, and they baited Albany. Albany, they all settled like, oh, this is going to be, we got the game, we're the better team. And then Arvell, Kyle Rashad, Philip Barnett, everybody goes, okay, that's it. We gave you your chance, and they owned it. This game, if I'm San Antonio, keys for San Antonio, don't make Shorts run on you. That would be the only way that West Texas stays in this game. And Arvell, I know you listen to the show, most respect. Let's make it 2 games in a row without throwing the pick. Because if you don't do that, I think San Antonio has the offense. I think they can make more plays than West Texas. But the key for me, for San Antonio, is honestly, if they contain Childress and they contain Shorts, they have a good advantage of winning this game and probably could win this game pretty handily. But it comes down to the front 5 for San Antonio, which they have been very good this year. They've dominated a lot of defense and offensive lines so far this year. West Texas has issues with that. They had a little issue with that with Albany a couple of weeks ago, and they had an issue with that against Jacksonville and definitely had it against Fayetteville. So that's still a question mark for West Texas. But if West Texas has established a run and keep Daniel Smith on his feet, possibly throwing Mitch Kidd to spark something, West Texas can stay in this game. West Texas needs to be in it. For them to win this game, this needs to be a 1-score game halfway through the 3rd quarter.
That is, I think, the most you can ask for.
Yes.
To be seen, though, without a doubt. We'll make our picks here very shortly. But obviously, you can tell, and as you might understand if you've watched any of the NAL this season, that is a bit of an uphill climb. But as like every other team in this league that is behind San Antonio, they've been making upgrades too. So they'll get, I think, a second crack with these new fancy, shiny, I would say, players to get a second chance. And I would say 2 weeks under their belt, under professional practice and training. You know, Shorts and Hollins came in basically with less than a week and played Albany last time.
Right.
We'll give them some benefit of the doubt, and they added more talent around them, and they also added in depth at the quarterback position if they want to switch that too. So
and also, I know that this is cliche. We hear a lot in college and not really a lot in the NFL. Trap week, trap game. This is a trap game for San Antonio, period. Because who you have next week? Jacksonville.
Yep.
Don't look over West Texas for Jacksonville because good, even coaches, great coaches in the past, Bill Belichick and them, they've even said, you overlook someone, you don't want one loss to turn into two. You don't want to be 4-0 and then come next Sunday night, you're 4-2 because you dropped one in West Texas because you overlooked West Texas to get ready to Jacksonville, and then you unprepared for West Jacksonville. Holy crap. Unprepared for Jacksonville because you suffer from the loss. Don't make it happen. Big time trap game in San Antonio, in West Texas for the San Antonio Gunslingers.
Yep. Big one. They're going to have to make sure that keep a level head, and they are going to West Texas's house on the road. So, you know, kind of keep things organized because around the corner is their first home game in well over a month. So that is the reward you get for going through, as it's been quoted on 94.1 FM in San Antonio. The is basically the road warriors from hell. That's what he labeled it when he interviewed when they were interviewing Fred Shaw this most recently. So very close to finishing that hell, basically that hell trip, if you want to call it, not Hell Week, because every week's that. And
also to the fans in West Texas, tickets as low as $5. Go get tickets.
Yeah, seriously, party zone tickets for $5 is like a stupid good deal in arena football. You should probably do it because that's usually, it's an end zone seat, but it's also where you'll get a lot of the rowdiest crowds a lot of times. Either that or on the sidewalls, of course, if you want to buy that on the dasher boards. But look, there's been good seats, good momentum, a lot of good things that we've seen with, that ownership's been changing as of late too. And making upgrades too. New broadcast, by the way, something I should mention. They got a really good broadcast partnership apparently with a local high school broadcaster that has a lot of praise, and this is a Texas high school broadcaster. So you kind of are expected to bring the best of the best when you are doing these games out there. So, and this is not just coming from me. These are locals that are out in North Texas that have said as well, this is a good partner. So they're doing a lot of good stuff to upgrade the team's broadcast, the team itself. Should be a really good show this week, and we'll definitely have a report on that broadcast quality as we have in the past this coming week. So I'm very bullish on seeing what these guys do coming in with this new partnership. So stay tuned for that.
One final question for you, Zach, and we'll move to the Clash of Champions coming up next. Over under, there will be hot dogs thrown at this game.
I mean, I'll say it's an over, because if you're just saying the over under is like 1. Then there's gonna be a hot dog thrown.
Okay. And
I mean,
do we know who the corporate would be? I was gonna say we already know who the corporate is, but yeah. There's
also Gunner. He's gonna do it. He does wacky stuff all the time at these games that we've seen video footage of. He'll throw a hot dog. Not at a player. He'll throw a hot dog into the stands. But I mean, if he throws it at a player, he probably gets talked about and might get an ejection. So we're not going to ask him to do that. Touche. All right, moving on. And you said Clash of Champions. It's Clash of the Empires, my man. You made these titles.
My bad. Clash of Empires.
Albany traveling to Jacksonville for the Clash of Empires this Saturday, going over there to the ViStar Memorial Coliseum. Look, Empire, I know that all the polls, we got them at the bottom. However, as you have seen in the transaction wire, and as Tom Manas has said, since he has returned to the Empire, this wasn't going to be a boring ordeal. He was going to be making upgrades left and right. He has done plenty of that so far. Even some of the players he signed that have been signed on from the last time they played 2 weeks ago aren't even on the roster anymore. Roland Rivers is not here anymore. Jonathan Bain is here now. Fabian Guerra, I didn't see this one coming at all. But he is now an Albany Empire member. If that name sounds anywhere familiar to you in the arena scene, he was one of the last Rookie of the Year winners for the AFL. And was a co-winner with Antoine Grant back in 2019. He's played in the Alliance American Football. He has had trips in Canada for several years, and now he's back in arena. And his 2019 campaign was very special. A great return man, excellent receiver, shifty, speedy. I expect a lot of good things with Jonathan Bain for this kind of partnership up here. Not to mention you got DeQuan Patton with a few weeks under his belt. And it sounds like Bain's been, according to local reporting, he's been a really good mentor to a lot of these young guys. So I'm expecting a lot of upgrades on that front. And then they also picked up Daniel Justino. So they fixed the kicking situation, I would say, or at least they picked up a kicker with very veteran presence in the NAL. That is definitely an upgrade over Michael Hall. That will also give him a better shot at scoring on the special teams angle when they get touchdowns and do kickoffs. So a lot of big upgrades have happened. However, this is Jacksonville. Remember, they picked up Sam Castronova. They have also had a few weeks to get him down there and get comfortable with that receiving core. I think there'll be fireworks. I don't think you're going to have to worry about a team preparing in 72 hours with Albany. I think you're going to see more scoring, but how much scoring will we see? That's what I'm curious about, because Jacksonville is that's no slouch. You very much know this is a good team. Sam Castronova, as the Empire fans know, this is a good quarterback.
Yes. It's a unique battle where we have Jonathan Bain and the Albany Empire traveling to Jacksonville to take on Sam Castronova and the Jacksonville Sharks. For people who have watched the NAL over the last couple of years, Bain is connected mostly to his time in Jacksonville. That's and right. Sam with his time in Albany. It's kind of weird how we go to the Shark Tank and now Bain's in Albany and Sam is in Jacksonville. Bain and Sam are two individuals that we have great relationships with. Sam, basically, we broke the story about Sam going to Jacksonville. We broke the story about, hashtag Phil said it first, about Bain going to Albany. But these are two genuine guys. And you mentioned about how he's becoming a mentor up there for Albany, and it's true. That's been Bain. Bain was like that in Carolina. Bain was like here in Jacksonville. He was like that with Maine Mammoths. There's other receivers in this league, especially a certain single-digit receiver in Jacksonville that has high praise for Bain. Bain is a type of quarterback that I think fits Manassas' system right now because it settles down the team. It calms everybody that you have that veteran presence, and you have a caliber quarterback who at times last year or all the way up to probably week 16 last year was the front runner for the MVP until he got hurt. Mm-hmm. That's until DJ and Darius and Sam started, make their claims for the title. In other words, for Jacksonville, they lost Connor Blount, who was leading all quarterback stats when he got hurt, and the echoes and the thing in Jacksonville that was really the questions like, who's Gibson going? Is it Bell, a freshman, a rookie that comes in that Orlando game and still throws 7 touchdowns as a rookie who had never played down in the arena? Pretty impressive. He got more experience, but there was a bigger fish out there to get, and that fish was Sam Castronova. What happened in San Antonio, or what happened in Albany? Sam comes down here. You forgot another individual there, Zach. Markel Wade.
I did also forget what.
He's returning back to the Shark Tank.
And here's the thing. I will admit that I mashed it into a very talented group of receivers and just kind of got lost in the shuffle on that. But yes, absolutely.
And from the sources I've been talking to, the chemistry is still there. So you're going to see Wade a lot and Sam a lot. And also, Sam has a receiver who could be compared to a certain number 6 down south, is our number 6, and that's Cam Solomon, who is having right now, who's with 2 weeks off, still leads the receivers for, still leads in stats with touchdowns and receiving yards for a wide receiver. And that's all. Now he has Sam coming in. But one thing you look at this game, we see what happened a couple of weeks ago, how Manas got a team together in 72 hours and came down to the wire for West Texas to win. My question was this: what happens if that was a Jacksonville team? Will that game have been down to one possession? I don't think it would have been. I think Jacksonville would have been light years ahead at that time. But that was a couple of weeks ago. Now they have Bain in. Now when you brought in the AFL Rookie of the Year from the Cleveland Gladiators in, and you got a guy like Keyshawn Young, that a young wide receiver that showed out. He was like the go-to guy there for Albany for Roland Rivers, and of course Daquan Patton. They have a squad, and one thing about Manassas teams, the one thing that the last couple of years they've had squads. They had a good squad there just a couple of months ago, and they had a great squad last year who dominated this league and won championships. One thing about Manassas teams, and I know this because I know he's listening. He is one of the coach where he may not have the best roster, but you're definitely not going to outcoach him. He is prepared. He puts his players in situations that he knows will happen during games. So no matter what happens in the Shark Tank, no matter if it's 7,000 fans, 10,000 fans, Manassas has his guys ready. And the thing is, and the caveat, it's like, oh, who does Jacksonville have? I don't know. The winningest coach in NAL right now, Jason Gibson, who, same thing, has 2 losses this year by a combined total of 2 points. So, and one thing that we did have an exposition game couple weeks ago, last week. That didn't count. Gibson's still trying to win his first game in the Shark Tank. So this game is going to be interesting because we're going to see 2 quarterbacks who are usually playing on the opposite side of the field. They're usually in this different benches. And it's going to be interesting to me because I've built relationships with both organizations, both teams. And then for me as a Shark fan, I'm like, the Sharks better get this win. But at the same time, like, my boy Manassas over there. Like, I know, like, I have conversations. Like, me and Manassas are buddies. We went from 2 individuals that used to bicker at each other online to texting each other, calling each other, seeing everything, all the stuff going on up in Albany. So we became BFFs. We became best friends. But no.
How adorable.
Oh, yes. Stop it. But no, seriously. This game is going to be a type of game I think it's going to come down, in my opinion. Do I think Jacksonville has the potential of just blowing the doors out of this game? Yes, they do. They have that type of roster, and they have a quarterback that's been known to do that for, of course, the Albany Empire. But the same thing is over on Albany's side. They have a quarterback that's been there, has done that, has been in tight situations, who has won big-time games on the road against when his teams were not as good. Bain used to do that when he was with the Maine Mammoths. They had no business of going to Jacksonville and beating Jacksonville. He did. He had no business going to Carolina to beat Carolina. He did. Like, that's what Bain is. He's that type of competitor. And that's the type of offense and the type of team, I think. And Daquan Patton and Keyshawn Young, that's 2 players that everyone in the league needs to put eyes on those, because in about 3 or 4 weeks, they will be the Kyle Rashads. They will be the Cam Solomons. They will be the Darius Princes of the NAL from Albany. Albany, yes, it's going through a hard time. And a very, very strange saying, reloaded. They have reloaded. It's just in time. Let it sink. It's just like how Orlando. You're going to have to take a couple of weeks to get gelling. And once they get gelling, they're going to be a team where we come in late June, early July, go, I don't know. If they can get to that 6-6 record, I don't want to be that 1 seed and have to play a very hot and on fire Albany team that may get themselves in that 4 spot. So that's why I see in Albany. And for Jacksonville, they've been off for 2.5 weeks. Like, they're just ready to hit somebody. I've talked to Justin Renfro, David Gilbert, Sam Castronova, the kicker, like Gibson over the last couple of weeks. They're just eager to get back on the field and hit somebody that's not their jersey. So it's going to be an entertaining game. from the people I've talked to, there's going to be about 8,000. I think it's Teacher Appreciation Game Day. So there's going to be a lot of students in the crowd. So the Shark Tank's going to be packed. And, of course, the Clash of Empires. These are two franchises that have a combined total of 6 titles, 2 NAL, and, of course, the Covenant 2 AFL titles that they've had in their name as a franchise. So these are the prominent 2 franchises in this league, because when people like to say rings do all the talking, they both have 3 rings, and they both have great history of winning. So intriguing game. I don't want to make the pick. And honestly, the storylines outside the field are just as intriguing as the storylines and the new storylines that will be created inside the field. But yes, this is going to be an awesome game. I'll be there live. Well, not really live. I'll be in the arena. Hopefully I get my pass I've been asking for, and I'll definitely have some extra access for you guys here on the podcast come Saturday night.
I have no doubt you'll get a pass. I think that's like one of the more certain things I'd expect during a week.
That arena should say Jim Renier Arena. It shouldn't say Vistar. It should be mine.
Okay. Let's not get that too. Let's not fill up your head like a balloon here.
Me? No.
Slow down, kiddo.
Nah. You know what?
You just made the list.
Oh, I made the list.
Yes. How dare you?
You ain't making a list at Vistar with that attitude.
I don't have the money to buy an arena name. Okay. How much that is that in pesos? Oh no, American.
Pesos,
yeah, I'm good. I'm good. But yeah.
Yeah. I will mention that the other storyline in this game is that Gibson is still looking for his first win against a Tom Manasseh-led football team. That has been something that I know has been brought up on this show before, so I can imagine that will not be talked about as much, but I imagine post-week, depending on how that goes, one of us will probably bring it up. So underlying story, remember, it's been some fascinating battles over the years between these two rosters, and now probably the most intriguing of them all. It feels like some of the tide has flipped. You got more of a young, up-and-coming roster over at Manasseh's section with a veteran quarterback, mind you. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Gibson has got the very loaded, very well-stocked roster. This time around.
But
and that's
still
no
young.
slight. Still young.
He has some young, talented receivers.
Yeah, still young, but very stocked. So
yes. Yeah, agreed.
But yeah, keep an eye out for that. Finally, got the game of the week, and we've been saving the best for last. In terms of matchups, in terms of I think stories and things we'll be discussing is Fayetteville and Greensboro, Carolina, but the 2 cities themselves will have their own teams take each other on in the Carolina Rumble, as we have labeled it here on this show. However, before we dive into our discussion on that, we got to get into that interview. Look at that fancy graphic on the screen for those video viewers on there.
Yeah, do it again.
Take a look. Saturday, 7 o'clock.
It's Friday, 7 o'clock. It's tonight, but yes.
Damn it, I forgot that you tricked me. Because the way this works is that he does make the graphics, so I should have thought about that. And I corrected him, too. And we still went and
still
said
did it.
I still said Saturday.
Yes.
So shame on me. I knew about it, and I still read the graphic like Ron Burgundy reading a cue card.
Illegal high motion on Zach.
He reads everything off those damn things.
Yeah, who put a question mark in the teleprompter? I'm
Saturday?
Ron Burgundy? Saturday? Yeah.
It's Friday, 7 o'clock. Again,
Yes.
that's the reason why we started the show early. And we will, and as you can see in just a second, we are going to be having, of course, our interview. We should really start calling it the interview of the week for game of the week, kind of as a tagline. But the interview of the week this week, bringing you on receiver DB himself, Trey Long, who has been playing an excellent year so far with Fayetteville, along with many of his cohorts over in Fayetteville that are many former Cobras as well, which makes this all the more of a unique contest. As you might hear, we kind of label it a Carolina reunion of sorts. Take a listen to our conversation with him right now, and we'll catch you on the other side for other keys to the game. Welcoming everybody into our latest interview here on the Inside the Walls podcast. As we've been talking, of course, in this episode leading in for NAL Game Day for Week 7, you may be realizing we're hyping up this Carolina Rumble, the Bashing Carolina, whatever you want to call it. There's multiple names for it this week that have been kind of thrown around. We're calling it the Carolina Rumble, but nonetheless, it's the two teams just down the road from each other, Fayetteville versus Greensboro. And today we're bringing on a player that's gotten, he's gotten the best of both worlds, I would say. And he's having one heck of a season for the Fayetteville Mustangs. It is wide receiver Trey Long joining us for the show as well. Trey, welcoming you aboard. Hey, got to say again, you've been having a heck of a year so far. Fayetteville coming on in. We got to mention, for a brand new expansion team, got a bunch of good vets and savvy vets on there, as you know. It's been a heck of a good start to the season, all things considered, for a brand new squad.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys for having me. Yeah, man, we doing better than the expected polls, I guess. I know they expected us to be at the bottom where the unexpected team is right now, but we don't need to talk about that. Yeah, our coach is doing a pretty good job of just letting everybody be themselves and putting our players in the best position that they possibly can. So we just been going off that.
Yeah, how do you describe, I guess we'll lead in with this, how do you describe Coach Gunnings? I know that he's been around the block. We knew coming into this season, extremely a veteran coach in the scene. It's just that, we were talking about, I think leading into the year, it's a different level. It's still arena football, but now we're talking the NAL level, which is one of the premier levels in the entire nation. So how's he taken it? How's he been with you guys and just having that veteran group to work around?
Oh, man, I love Coach Gunnings. He was actually my rookie year playing arena in general. In the AAL, he was the defensive coordinator on the Carolina Havoc, and that's the team that I played for in 2019. So I've been around actually all the coaches that we had. They were all my same coaches. So Coach Gunnings is a great guy, man. He's he'll knock you in the head if you don't bore what he's got going on. But one thing he does, he lets the veterans kind of drop the boat. Like so he does his coaching, but he's more like, so what do you guys think? What do you guys think we should do? What do you guys think we should do? He's more that type of coaching. That's the type of coach you need, especially in the situation we're in when we're a first year team. When you got vets, man, you have to let the vets drive. It's the only way we're gonna be able to, be successful.
Yeah, it sounds like a pro ball coach if I ever heard it, and a good one at that fact. You got guys that especially you're talking about your roster, and Jim, you can even reiterate this. Beyond Kendrick Ings, Jim, Fayetteville's roster is stacked now at this point in the season with veteran guys that also tie into, as Trey brought up in the pre-show, former Cobras guys as well, happen to have played there in that connection.
Right, yeah, it's a lot of Carolina vets, man. A lot of Carolina vets.
Yeah.
Well, it's unique because last year they were all together in Carolina and played for a championship. And when the expansion team came up, we're like, we want to know what Fayetteville was going to do. We didn't expect them to let's go after every single, you could say almost every single weapon in Fayetteville. Carolina. When Kendrick Ings, Trey, James Summers. Where are we going to do? Recruit Zach Brown over here pretty soon? Probably to DJ Myers available for recruit. What was for you, Trey? Was it just the coaches going after familiar faces in the area, or is it just regional, or is it if Kendrick Ings signed on, certain players will follow Kendrick?
It's kind of a mixture of everything. So basically, I kind of seen. So this is how, if you want to just hear my thought process.
Yeah.
Obviously, Coach Anson Yarbrough was my first head coach ever. So he's the offensive coordinator here. So of course he called me immediately. I'm going to Fayetteville. You want to come? I'm like, of course. I didn't sign right away, but I gave him the heads up, because I was at the time I had gotten the XFL draft pool, so that was on my mind. I wasn't really worried about playing in arena again. Yeah. So so Anson was the first bullet for me. Like, okay, I'll go there, and then I actually seen Cato sign, and when I played Cato last year, I liked his style, as a quarterback. even though we beat, even though he talks to me all the time, like, oh, you got an interception on me, and you guys beat us bad the first time. He reminds me all the time, but I like his style of play at quarterback. Like he lets his receivers be the guys, to make the play. So that was another thing. I said, well, I love to play with him because he's going to always give me a chance. And like, as you see in Orlando, he threw me a couple balls that were out of the pocket and he just let me be myself. And, I made him look good. So that was the second thing. And then obviously the other parts, Ings, I seen Ings sign, James sign, Jug Russell signed. I seen some names like that. I'm like, okay, the veterans are signed. Oh, Milt Williams too. I seen all them guys sign before I actually signed. So I was like, oh man, like this might be special. So I want to be a part of it.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, you're definitely talking up your quarterback. For the most part, it's been feeling like he's building upon last year with some of the flashes we've seen. We've talked enough on this show. Definitely an electric player. For yourself, I mean, so obviously he's gotten better, I think, at pocket passing presence, but given the fact that he has such a range at where he can throw across his body. That it's a video podcast moment right here. I gotta ask, do you just stay ready for anything? Because like I said, it's kind of amazing some of these throws he can make on the run. I don't know how he's able to throw across his body so accurately, but he does it a lot more than I think some QBs even would. And it works
this guy
somehow.
This guy Cato is so talented, and he breathes football. He's like football 24/7. It's like he'll come over because we all have apartments. He'll come over to the apartment over here at 1:00 in the morning, waking me up like, "Hey, let's watch film on this." And I'm trying to get some rest. Like he's straight football, but I love him for that, man. And he's an excellent quarterback. His IQ was really what makes him the best. Like he doesn't have the strongest arm in the league or like the most accurate, but he's smart. So he's there before the defense is there, like all the time. And he's like that in practice. So he brings it in practice and it like easily transfers to the game for him.
You watched Cato last year in Orlando. What's the difference, in your opinion, from him last year to him today?
Offensive line.
That was quick.
Okay.
He has a way better offensive line right now. So now you're getting to see the real him. There's certain positions that are all connected.
Mm-hmm.
You're as a receiver and a quarterback, you're only as good as their offensive line. That's just football. If you don't have a good offensive line, your quarterback won't be good, and you won't be that good. Like you can still be good as an individual, but you'll never be at your full potential of your offensive line. So I think that he's automatically more than what anybody's seen last year because his offensive line is better.
And also for me, it seems like he is settled down in the arena game because it seemed like last year he was too quick. You have to have a quick mindset in this game, but he was going too fast. Right. There were some games that we watched last year with him in it where he'll force a ball into a double coverage where if he would have waited 2 seconds, he would have had Prince Shinola wide open at the end in the end zone, or at that time it was Brandon Fuentes too. Right. And Zach kind of like he mentioned something in one of our shows last year. Is like, Caleb, just take the dump downs, like settle down. And then the next game he went off. That was like it felt like it was his debut game, but situation in Orlando, and we didn't see him, and now he reappears here, and it looks like he is taking the advice of Zach, even though I guarantee the game just clicked. It seems like he's better prepared.
I take no credit for that. I just think he's got it clicking better this year.
Yeah, he did.
No, man, I'll tell y'all guys one thing about Cato. He's definitely listening. He listens to everything you guys say, not even just y'all, just anybody who says something about him. Mm-hmm. And he's gonna let us know that he heard something about him that week, and that's the week that you guys don't want to play him. Whoever the other team
I've been
is.
praising him, so I'm not on the hit list.
Like the week before we played Orlando, oh man, the Fayetteville should get a new quarterback talk. They should have got Bain talk, and they're not. Cato's not going to win him a championship talk. Oh yes, you see what happened against Orlando.
We did see. Me and Zach watching that game, we were like, "Wow, Fayetteville has a squad." We knew they were veteran led, but with Cato, how he came into the game, man, and you going off, Ings going off. I think Ings' first touch was a kick return for a touchdown.
Kick return. Yep.
And I'm like, it's like they have a squad. And right now, you guys are currently 2-2. You're in the mix, or my favorite, my saying, you're in the muck right now. But you're in the mix of you got 2 wins, 2 dominant wins, and 2 losses where it felt like in the second half the games got away from you in both games, against San Antonio and against Jacksonville.
Honestly, in the fourth quarter, both of those games, both of those losses.
Well, see, last game I was going to ask you because I don't know what Gunning's message was against San Antonio, but I have a feeling that post game it was if we cleaned up a bit of our sloppiness in the second half, we maybe walk away with that, because that's what we were talking about. Was it felt like that was in range, at least late third quarter.
Oh, most definitely. We lost that game. They know that. They said that like at the end of the game, because I know a few guys on their team, and they thought that they were going to blow us out, and they were like, we really was, afraid a little bit. Like at the time, fourth quarter was close, as you guys see if you were watching. But we just turned the ball over and made a couple mistakes here and there. So we kind of hand walked them. Nah, he ain't gonna be here. We got plenty around. He said he ain't gonna be here in time. Oh no, huh? Oh no. Hit the chat up and see if somebody's still here. What was I about to say? Yeah, so when we got to the fourth and we started making mistakes, we already knew, because the type of team San Antonio is, that it was probably pretty much gonna be hard for us to come back, because they got a high-powered offense like we do. So we knew that we didn't make those mistakes, though. We walk away with the game.
Right. I mean, it's funny. You guys are also looking for your first home win too. I mean, that's the other one. You've been road warriors so far. And I guess we'll now dive a little deeper in. We hinted, a lot of former Carolina Cobras guys coming that are playing with you guys in Fayetteville. You're going to be basically revisiting with a lot of previous teammates this coming weekend. A lot of guys that you were playing side by side with last year in a runner-up campaign and a very good season.
Yeah.
So I mean, how's that gonna?
Yeah, I'll say I love them guys over there. Adam Smith, Lance, ZB. Mike Green was my actual defensive back coach last year.
Okay.
Yeah, so shout out to Mike Green, man, for giving me the knowledge but just mostly the knowledge and everything about the game on the defensive side.
Did he not pass over to you the Lotus kick? Because I mean, he's been showing that off.
Listen, I got something for y'all tomorrow if I get an interception. Just know that.
Oh man,
I'm gonna make sure I piss him off. Just know that. But no, that's my guy, man. I love Mike Green to death.
Because that's all we were thinking. It's like, where has this been? We got so many instances of it.
Yeah. I got something for you. Just remember, I said I got something for you. Y'all to the laugh.
But I mean, that's what makes this. It makes it so much more intriguing, because it's a starting of hopefully a new staple game series you got kicking off with the Mustangs for those two teams. But the intrigue of being the fact that it's all these other Carolina players or former Carolina players going at one game. It's like a big. Now it's like a 5-year reunion almost.
Right.
Man,
it is.
Where's the time gone?
I think it's hold on. So it's Tevin, me, Ings, James, Jug, Tevin, Herb. What's that? 6 or 7? Cook. So it's off the top of my head, it's at least like 7 or 8 of us that were former Cobras at one time. So, I mean, I know everybody is feeling how I'm feeling who used to be a Cobra. Or just how anybody would feel when they play their own team in general.
Right.
So I'm ready. I'm definitely ready to play, man. Definitely.
Twilight Zone out there.
Deja vu. Is like, wait a minute. It's like, I know these people. I've been here before. Trey, this is they're trying to build this game up to be like a Carolina Rumble, the Battle of the Carolinas. The distance between Greensboro and Fayetteville probably is what, an hour?
Like an hour and a half. Like an hour and a half. Yeah.
So you can tell it'd be
Yeah.
it's a good starting point.
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
Definitely the shortest road trip in the NAL, or I think Jacksonville, Carolina, maybe Jacksonville and Orlando might be in that same distance. But
Right.
looking for your first win against a lot of former friends. How odd is it going to be to play against them, seeing they already know your tendencies because they're basically you guys from last year, and you know their tendencies? How's this game going to go, in your opinion? Hopefully, in your opinion, you said the favorite was going to win. But how's the execution going to work, seeing that they know who you are?
That's a good question. And honestly, the honest answer is I think this game might be the hardest for both teams, just because all the players, included, and then Anson, were very familiar with what Coach Fuller likes to do, especially on offense, and then kind of got an idea of what he liked to do on defense. But even if he's not the guy who's implementing everything on defense, I know what Mike Green thinks a lot because he taught me damn near everything he knows. So when it comes to like, coverages and who's running the high motions, I know what he likes to run for the most part. So, but they had a great veteran group of the defensive backs. So yeah, I mean, it should be a good one, man. I think it's gonna be a close game. I don't think either. I mean, I feel like we're gonna win, but I feel like it'll be a pretty close game, though.
Oh yeah, I mean we're all expecting it. I mean, it's definitely the game of the week this week. Should be a blast. I know you're pressing while we're talking. You still got to focus on your own role, so you're about to head out soon to go and do a team meeting, probably to help get ready for this week. But
a little walkthrough.
fun little. It's funny. It's the news this season for the league has been all over the place, and I think I'd love to hear this from a player just because it has been a bit of a buzz. Apparently Antonio Brown's going to be playing very soon.
Right.
Thoughts on getting to play now a team owner out on the field?
Oh man, I loved AB. I loved AB in the NFL. He was always one of my favorite receivers. Just watching how he dominated the game. I just pray that they don't put him on defense because that's not what he's not going to want to see number one with a Mustangs jersey on. He's not going to want to see that. So I just pray they don't put him on defense, man. But it'd be a great experience playing against AB. Going to feel like I'm in the NFL for a second, But I guess we'll see when we get there next week if he actually suits up.
Soon enough. Hey, got some film to study. Maybe a little NFL tape.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't watch enough of Antonio Brown. I got a little more I can watch. I know I can.
Pretty soon we might be seeing Trey Long on the Carrie Underwood's Sunday Night Football thing because how Antonio Brown was on every single one of those things. It's like, wait, is that Trey now? Well, what happened here?
Right.
You edit. Well, Trey, we'll let you get on down the line. Thanks for stopping by for a quick sesh. Wishing you the best this Friday coming up here at the Crown Coliseum. Should be a blast for those coming out to watch the game. And hey, if you're, while we're talking out here, I mean, Cobras fans or Mustangs, I mean, you're going to be in for a win-win. It's just down the road for a lot of guys that are the diehards out there in Greensboro. Right. Great way to start your weekend.
Right. Yeah. And I love the Cobras fans, man. They came to, I think, a handful of them came to the last home game just to show love to me and Ease and James. Yeah, so I love the fans, man. I still love the fans to this day. So I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you guys for having me.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Hey, thanks again to Trey Long for joining us on the edition of the show. Obviously, you can tell Coach Gunnings keeps a busy schedule, so had to jump in and do his thing, get going on to a meeting at the time. We'd run into that. That happens. But, these guys, they got busy lives. A lot of these arena players, they got the football on the side. They got other occupations on the side. It's not easy being an arena football player, but it is certainly rewarding to get to play the game that you do love. And as you can tell, got to get ready because shorter week of scheduling. Luckily, both these teams got at least a little bit of time. Carolina a little less, so got to factor that in, but it's only an hour and a half drive, no flights, no crazy road trips. So they're at least getting a little more time. They don't have to worry about rushing and getting out and about faster. But, Jim, keys to the game here. Obviously, Carolina comes in off of an impressive win last week, running the ball up and down the turf, great defensive presence against the Orlando Predators, and Fayetteville's coming off 2 weeks previous of having their best defensive effort of the season, but as you and I talked with Trey, couldn't get out of their own way. Now they just got to put a 4-quarter performance together against one of these top-tier opponents, and Carolina is their next bet. So far, the top three, in terms of the top 3 standings in the league, Fayetteville has not been able to capitalize against Jacksonville or San Antonio. Carolina is their next shot, and that's the first of a few matchups just down the street.
It's called the Carolina Rumble. It's also, you can call it the Carolina Series, Rumble Series, because this is first of 3 matchups. My keys to the game for this game is, like we mentioned to Trey, it's like facing each other. Like, they know every tendency that you guys are going to have, and you do for them, because you were together last year in Carolina for the Cobras. This is an intriguing matchup. For me, it comes down, honestly, to the 2 quarterbacks who I think have matured a lot in this game. That's between Malik Henry and Cato. One thing about Cato is that he has become faster decision-making, but he's quicker. He's not as he slowed down his reaction. What I mean is what we talked about in an interview with Trey, is that last year in Orlando, he'll make that fast decision and he'll throw the ball, and most of the time it was not the right decision. Now he has that fast reaction. He breaks down the play, then he executes a good throw. Cato's having a hell of a year. He had a bad second half against San Antonio a couple weeks ago, but he's having a hell of a season. Malik Henry had a couple of blimps last week against Orlando, but when he needed to make the play for his team to win, he was there. So he's learned there. That is going to be a key matchup. Also, the key matchup is, honestly, I'm going to just say it's the brothers versus brothers. You got Lance Evans, Adam Smith, James Summers, Trey Long, Kendrick Ings. You have the whole receiving core from last year going after each other as the line's been, divided. I don't know where the highway is separating the 2 cities, but that's the line that separates them. Now you got the 3 guys over there in Carolina with Lance Evans, Adam Smith, and then you have Trey Long, Kendrick Ings, even Tevin Homer. They have Mike Green. You have so many guys who know each other's tendencies, from the DBs to the receivers. That's going to be the other key to the game. It's the former Cobras and the current Cobras in this battle. And that's what's going to be. That's one thing I love, like I mentioned earlier in the show, what you've heard many of years ago from various people. A rivalry is not born by someone creating it. Something happens to create that rivalry. And sometimes having people who are familiar with each other could spark that. So that's going to be an intriguing matchup on itself, is the familiarity of both squads, because they know each other's tendencies. And that's going to be an awesome chess match to watch tonight, 7 o'clock on YouTube. So, yeah, it's going to be intriguing.
Yeah, same day. It's still kind of funny as we're recording that. It's going to be the same day we drop it. So, yeah, if you are fresh off of the viewing, mark that down. If you missed it, sorry. Well, hey, maybe you can have a good laugh post game if what you think we hear here. But I mean, really, it is one factor is that you do have a bunch of players that I think are from you have several that are from last year's roster in particular. Yes, there are several that are from previous year's iterations. That's more of a fun story. But you have several that were playing under James Fuller and Josh Resignalo last year, and you will kind of get to share some stuff. I know that one thing with offenses, we've been told, it is arena. It's a little more limited on formations and items, but you still can kind of key in on a few things if you are paying attention. And really, Fayetteville, I think you got to take most of your film from San Antonio and say, hey, look, we had our best defensive effort of the season against what has been the best, arguably the best, or one of the top 2 offenses in the NAL this season. You could say the Sharks are the best offense too. That's a good, valid argument in my opinion. But San Antonio has been right in the thick of it in terms of scoring in bunches and droves. They were in it for 3.5 quarters, or 3.5 quarters essentially. And you just got to take that film, put together what you know is a really talented offense with capable receiving options, and the sky's the limit. I think for this game. Clearly, Carolina, they have, I think, in terms of an organization, in terms of a team that is built around a scheme. James Fuller's done that. That is exactly what they have. They retooled in a few places, or they took guys that maybe didn't have as much opportunity last year, and they have excelled because they've gotten more opportunity. You bring up Av Smith all the time, and that's a guy that has more opportunity this year because of the fact you don't have an Ings or a DJ Myers that are getting targets. Now he gets more targets, along with Summers. Mike Green on the other side, he came out and had his big week. Kenny Veal, can't say enough. He has been an excellent talent, not only in defensive side, but he has been great as a return man for the Cobras. Special teams has been a fantastic aspect for Carolina that I think you could say right now they have the best overall special teams unit in the National Arena League right now, between Veal's return ability and the fact that TC Stevens has been arguably the best kicker so far this season. That is, other kickers are catching up, but he's been the most consistent so far this year in terms of what he is as a deadly weapon on the other side of the turf. So, that cannot be understated. Fayetteville, I think it's all about putting all your best attributes together against a top-tier opponent in your own house too. They haven't won at home, and it is looking like, because Carolina's down the road, and I know crowds have been slowly building up. We've talked about this in a previous show with, Commissioner Siegfried, but this does look like it's going to be their largest crowd of the season, given the fact you're going to have Cobras fans that are diehards just down the way that will travel out on a Friday night. So, this is their chance to come out and get a win in front of the home crowd. Mm-hmm. They also just got massive news. They got essentially a massive upgrade to their ownership group this week. That we'll talk more in full length once we get a little more details. I don't want to talk too much yet because we still want to ask a few things, but that news came out. So there's good things right now. It'd be a great way to finish your week, get a win in front of your home crowd for the first time in your history. And that's what a better way to do it than against what is hoping to be an in-state rival or in-state opponent that you will be nipping at the butt to win against in Carolina.
That's honestly for you. I was just looking up some stats because I'm a stats freak. Do you know how competitive this game is going to be between the receiving core?
It's pretty tight.
Six of the top 15 receivers in the National Arena League are going to be playing in this game.
Yeah, should be pretty tight.
That's incredible. That just tells you how talented these two offenses are. And also, we can't talk about a Carolina team without talking about the weapon. We have to talk about TC Stevens. Like, he last week kicking deuces. Orlando wasn't. Maya, very consistent, maybe one of the most accurate kickers in our league. He doesn't miss extra points. He's getting to the net. He did get a deuce last week or 2 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say, last game he actually hit a deuce, so he's starting to get it, that's great progress because you're talking extra points. He's pretty automatic from extra point range. He just hasn't had the leg until last time he played.
And one thing that I've said, and I've heard other coaches say, certain coaches use kickers just for possession-wise to get field goals. Some coaches use them as weapons. And the coaches that use their kickers as weapons are the kickers that are deuce machines and pretty accurate. In this matchup, how I think it's going to be a very competitive matchup between these two teams, the special teams is going to be crucial. Will TC or Maya be the one that kicks that crucial deuce that pivotal wins the game, or gives you that extra possession in a game? Because if a kicker is getting some deuces, you can you can steal a possession just by those deuces because you can get up to 6, 8, the amount of deuces he makes in a row. So I think that's going to be a key component in this game as well. Also, it's in Fayetteville. Also, They have a dance team. It's also I think, parent appreciation education night.
It is.
That's going to be there. So I guarantee there's going to be some students there, similar to what's going on in Jacksonville. So I feel the energies Friday night in Fayetteville. Come on, Fayetteville. If you're watching this, what else is there to do in Friday night? What's there? Bojangles? Churches? What's there to do in Fayetteville? Be in the Crown Coliseum. I know I just took a shot at probably one of the best chicken restaurants in the nation. Could be a future sponsor. Hopefully, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, but get to the Crown Coliseum. Tickets are available, cheap. These are two good teams. Carolina is on. They're showing like they're the Carolina of old. Fayetteville has a squad. You have a great team, especially with Trey Young. How open he was in discussion of what the team is and the familiarity between these two organizations. It's going to be a ticket. Go get your tickets now. Go to visit nationalarenaleague.com, click on the Fayetteville, and it sends you the tickets. Beautiful arena, and a beautiful arena needs people in it like you, the people of North Carolina. Create this rivalry or something. It'd be interesting to have a hour and 30. I don't know how many miles that. Hour 30 minutes away. Was that about 106 miles, maybe 60 miles? Anyways, Carolina fans, Fayetteville, tell me what the distance is. I'm not going to look it up on Google. So
I'm not great at those quick calculations.
No.
I don't know the highways around North Carolina, so
no, me either.
I'm lost.
I am
hour
lost.
Hour and a half drive super easy though. Like that's what compared to some of the other ones. That is such an easy road trip for a diehard fan to take. And Fayetteville, I think Fayetteville is as well. Like later on, you keep growing the fan base and getting a little more outreach. There are some diehard Mustangs fans we've seen on Facebook and in our own DMs or replies. I want to say that too. When you guys go to Carolina later this year, go check that out because that atmosphere. Which I will say this: there's been a lot of people this year that have been praising Carolina for a great game experience, not only as for a good team, but people that have been praising the professionalism of the staff at these games this year. That's what's been sticking out to me. And it's not just one. I've seen at least 3 to 4 people on separate occasions go, I've been blown away at how well Carolina and their staff have run things this year in terms of game day experiences. It's been superb. It's great things to hear, because that brings fans back. And not only does it bring fans back, it's good word of mouth. You grow the fan base as well, which, we've been seeing the Cobras have been getting some big crowds this season. It's actually, that's kind of an under talked about story is that their crowd sizes have been growing really good compared to recent years. Mm-hmm. That's on the upward trend. That's really good for an organization to talk about and to kind of grow not only community engagement, but also sponsorship opportunities. You say you're getting more people in the arena, So I just thought it'd be a good time to bring it up. But, Mustangs fans can go and enjoy a game at a facility that is a world-class facility, by the way, in terms of the Greensboro Coliseum. But they also are going to go to a game that you're going to get treated well as well from what people have been bringing up. So it's a massive win-win-win. The third being you get to watch your favorite team play just up the road. Friday, though, you get to watch them at home. Folks in Carolina, if you haven't bought your tickets and you're on the fence for tonight, screw it. Grab your family, go take a trip. If you're hearing us right now. If not, do it next time.
If you're hearing us right now, it's, I think, 11:20, 11:30, so you have time. But we're going to wrap up the show, ladies and gentlemen, with our famous Pick'ems. So, yay, Pick'ems.
Yeah.
Last week, I was 1-0, and Zach was 0-1. Season overall, we're 8-5. Just above average, but we're tied.
Tie ball game.
So we're 0-0 again. But anyways, if you're fans out, if you're going, speak English, Jim. Here we go. Any fans out there, join our Discord. We do a pick 'em. You're more welcome to join. It's just fun, interactive. The link is in our description. You're kind of far behind the pack, but at least you come interact with us, and you'll see how a lot of our fans on our Discord page are either very accurate or nowhere near good at predicting football games. But yes, but overall, Zach, you take over. Who you got in the first matchup in the Carolina Rumble? No, excuse me, the West Texas
Battle for Texas, my good man.
I got so many names for this. The Battle of Texas, yes.
The Battle of Texas over in Odessa, Texas, which is northwest Texas, by the way. Going to the Ector County Coliseum. Gunslingers are traveling up there, bringing fans in their own separate bus up there too. Should be a bit rowdier of a game as well. And again, affordable tickets, $5. You can go at for a fan zone ticket. That's nothing. I mean, seriously, $20, you can get a whole family of 4 in, and then you have money to spare to do everything else in the arena. Go and have a good time out there if you're out there in West Texas and listening in. Do I think that the West Texas Warbirds have improved in 2 weeks to take on what has been ranked consistently and has been talked about consistently on this program as the best team in the NAL right now? No, but I will say it's going to be a competitive game. So give me the Gunslingers, but it will be much more of a watchable game than you think. I ain't anticipating a 50 to 18 contest like they did against Fayetteville a few weeks back. I think that you are going to see it come down to some sort of decisive drive or two late in the third quarter. It feels like that's how it's been lately for the Gunslingers, is that it does come down to the back end of the second half where talent and I would say good coaching inevitably wins out. So I think you're going to see a game like that. Coach Smith, Tate Smith that is, has upgraded that roster very well, but the Gunslingers are more talented, and I think that the Warbirds need to work on a few more things still. But yeah, I got the boys from San Antone taking the W on their final leg of their massive road trip this coming Saturday.
As a local reporter / radio host would say, the Road Warriors from hell. But it is going to be an exciting game in West Texas. West Texas will fight in this game. Grady, Childress, Shorts, Starks, Daniel Smith, Hollins, the boys of West Texas will be ready. This will be a dog fight matchup of all matchups. San Antonio thought 2 weeks ago in Jacksonville was, a little close to the hair. A couple of weeks ago against Albany was a little close. But in the Eckerd Coliseum in West Texas, the West Texas Warbirds will go into their building, wire to wire, come down to the very last possession. And a turnover happened, and the San Antonio Gunslingers pull off a win.
You're going to like final possession on this. That's even. I mean, I'll admit I think that they can tough it out, but that's I think really making a statement if it has to come down to the final whistle.
And our podcast listeners, I picked San Antonio. My bad. I just put the logo up. I forgot to say San Antonio. My bad. I think this game. I think West Texas is improving with the additions from Albany. I think this would be a very good competitive game. I think that even though 2 weeks ago there was a different situation happening in Albany at that time, I think because of the week and a half of Shorts being the jack and Hollins coming in and help beef up that front five, I think this will help West Texas in the long run. They're going to be more competitive in this game than we've seen previously. I just think the Road Warriors from hell, as 94.1 in San Antonio would say, I think they will still live up to their reputation where they like to be the cardiac bunslingers. We got to say bunslingers.
Bunslingers this week, yes.
They're going to be the cardiac bunslingers, but I still think there's going to be a crucial turnover at the end of the game, possibly the last drive or the second last drive, where West Texas needs to make that play to make it. I think they just don't get it. I think this is going to be an exciting game. I do think this is coming down the wire. And again, there will be a moment in this game that will create a rivalry. And that's why I think San Antonio wins this game, because there's going to be something there that causes it. Because we need more rivals in this sport, just instead of us creating names for each one. Yeah,
more fun moments. I'm always up for that. Give me that every week in the National Arena League. It's been a good season too, anyway. So, hey, like I said, any given Friday, any given Saturday, Sunday, you name it, there's always a chance. So, you never know.
Any given weekend.
Any given weekend, my friend.
It's the sequel to Any Given Sunday.
All right. Now we got the Clash of Empires. Albany Empire. 2 weeks off of a heartbreaking loss over in the MVP Arena. Much different looking unit after 2 weeks are traveling down to the North Florida area. I know that was lame. I was trying to say North Florida, and I snuck area in there. But they are going to Jacksonville to ViStar Memorial Coliseum, playing the Sharks, the Manas-Gibson rivalry. Another leg in the chapter, one that I didn't think, or we didn't think, might exist after earlier news reporting and decisions from in the previous year. But here we are. We get this matchup again just in the nick of time. The Empire going to the Sharks. Do I like this new group? Oh, yes. I like what Albany's bringing now. Jonathan Bain, he's gotten multiple weeks. He has had time, of course, to warm himself up for the season. He was over in the IFL for a spell. So this isn't a rusty Jonathan Bain. This is one that should be attuned and ready to go to play. They do have Ben Bennett. So that is your OC. Great to have a veteran QB to work alongside a guy that is an offensive-minded coach in Ben Bennett. And you also have Fabian Guerra. You've got DeQuan Patton, who's had his best performance of his career so far. You know, Sean Young, obviously showing off some signs of a young talent, all going there. And a scrappy defensive unit that, though I would say doesn't have the same star power, can, I think, hold its own in situations. I don't think they hold their own against the Sharks, though. This is a loaded roster, people. I do not think with this still, I think, building new Albany Empire that they go in and upset them in ViStar Memorial in the Shark Tank. I just don't see it. The crowd looks like it's going to be massive for this game, for sure. And I see you with nice job. Little nod. Great job. Moment for YouTube viewers out there everywhere. Give me Jacksonville. There's going to be some blood in the water, and it's going to be a little bit of a feeding frenzy. It'll be a fun game. I'm not calling a blowout, but I think you are going to get the Sharks getting a win, setting themselves back above 500 once more.
I lost. Wait a minute, I'm not supposed to lose. Let me see the script.
I thought I was sticking to the script.
Well, I'm sticking to the script. Manas is a coach that you're going to have a hard time out coaching him. He's very prepared. He has Bain, who's a top of the line quarterback, MVP caliber player. But again, gelling is the key. Chemistry is the key of any sport. Do I see Albany coming in and beating the Sharks? Maybe. Do I see the Sharks dominating the Empire? Possibly. What are the keys to this game? Well, different players are on different teams, and then they need to build chemistry. But when you look at both rosters, one roster has been together for several weeks. The other one has been assembled within the last week and a half, and it's constantly changing parts. This is in the venue down in Jacksonville that this game is being played at in Northeast Florida, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena. But the one thing I like about this game is that the game is titled The Clash of Empires. These two franchises are two fan bases that know how to win. They have been basically brought into two winning organizations. Both these groups do not like to lose at all. But checking the script, I look at the script and I clearly see a game where it could either go two different ways. It could be a dogfight, or it can be, in the words of Zach, a bloodbath. But speaking of the script shows to me that the prophecy was fulfilled with the arrival of the Nova, and that prophecy will continue for Jacksonville in this one. A lot of questions in Albany. It's going to be a hell of a game, but my pick is Jacksonville Sharks. Sorry. I'm not going to play the whole hype video, but still. I got the Nope. I'm clicking on random buttons. Where'd the dang thing? There we go.
Oh,
never mind. Technology favorites. It's technology.
This.
I hate stream art sometimes. I'm picking the Jacksonville Sharks, so continue, Zach. I got
you'll get it. You'll get it put up there in just momentarily for those YouTube viewers out there. Finally, though, as he's getting that sorted out, we do have the game of the week. Hey, there it is. But now, the game of the week, ladies and gentlemen, the Carolina Rumble, as we are labeling it. Carolina Cobras traveling down the road, fresh off a nice decisive win over the Orlando Predators. They will be taking on their buddies in the state in Fayetteville, the new Mustangs in town, as they'll be traveling to the Crown Coliseum. Mustangs are looking for their first win at home this year, and are also looking for their first win against, well, at least in the standings, a top 3 opponent this year. It's been pretty good sailing. Fayetteville is a very competitive team. They are definitely one of the better teams in the muck category right now, but are they having a chance this week to get themselves to be part of that conversation in the top other 3 teams? That's what I think we're all asking, is that can they put a 4-quarter game together at home and get one against their in-state rival? Can Rakeem Cato rebound from what was his ugliest performance 2 weeks ago? Can this defense repeat its defensive efforts from 2 weeks prior against the Cobras? Do the Cobras continue their upward momentum, and do they push the tides of the Mustangs away? I say yes, indeed. I could put a John Panette joke in there if I had flipped this around and done the nay thing, if you know what I'm talking about. But I got to go with James Fuller's unit over in Carolina. It is a big reunion of Cobras players in Fayetteville. Without a doubt, it's going to be a fun story seeing all these former Cobras take on current Cobras players and former teammates from just last season, mind you, that are going to be taking each other on in battles. I mean, hey, look, Trey Long is going to be taking on guys like James Summers or Kendrick Kings on the other side, James Summers or Adam Smith. Kendrick Ings is going to be taking on guys like a James Summers on the opposite side. Fun, fascinating aspect that is all thanks to Iron Man football. But I got to go with the Cobras here. I think that you have a bit more of a solidified roster. Again, their only loss was 2 points with a different quarterback against the best team in the league in the Gunslingers in San Antonio. They have been showing week in, week out since then that they are a decisive number 2 right now. I got to take this win, and we'll use it as like I did last week in the USFL podcast with another team I was talking about. Prove it to me, Fayetteville, that you can beat Carolina. That's what I'm going to be saying, because right now, separation between a great team and a good team is you guys stepping up and playing 4 quarters against the best, one of the best of the best. I don't think they do it, but I digress. Give me the Cobras.
Wow. I can't retort what you just said. You basically have the same sentiment as me. This is a game where we have 2 franchises that know each other like the back of their hand. They know each other's tendencies. They played with each other, and they've gone to war with each other. Now they're going against each other. The matchups are clear. Lance Evans, Adam Smith taking on Trey Long, Kendrick Ings, Cato versus Malik Henry. But one of the key factors in this game is Tevin Homer versus Mike Green, DBs. Or is it the running backs? Is the one-man band Zach Brown going to perform like he did last week, and will the Carolina Cobras to victory? Or will it come down to the kicking game between Maya and TC Stevens? The game will be decided by the front 5, like we seen a couple weeks ago in San Antonio, like we saw a couple weeks ago in Jacksonville. One line started to fold. Does that continue? Jacksonville showed a little weakness against them. San Antonio showed a little weakness against them. But one thing I've noticed so far this season is Carolina's strength is their front 5. And it's led by the one-man band, Zach Brown and Ziegler, down in the muck that is called the line of scrimmage. Does Carolina go down to Fayetteville and solidify that this is their state? Sorry, Fayetteville, you're new, but this is their state. Does Fayetteville pull off the win? Does Cato have Cato-like performance like he did against West Texas, like he did against Orlando? And will Fayetteville to a victory? This is their 3rd home game, and Fayetteville's looking for their first win in the Crown Coliseum. Will this game be it? Will it be it? Well, I believe it might be. I think it could be. It's going to be exciting. But I'll let a certain Hollywood actor make my pick.
Snakes. Why did it have to be snakes?
And as words of Indiana Jones, Carolina Cobras find a way to go 4-1 and toy with some first place votes in next week's media poll as they take care of business at the Crown Coliseum and improve to 4-1 on the season. And that has been your feature presentation. Sorry.
Nice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you can tell, clean sweep. We're both on the same page. So, if we go down, we go down together. If we succeed, we are both tied hand in hand.
We're either Elon Musk, we're shooting off to space in a nice rocket, or we're Titanic and we're just looking at the iceberg. I'm like, yeah, we're going to hit it. Yep, now we're on the freaking boat holding onto a door.
To the moon we go.
Yeah. It can either be to the moon or to the Mariana Trench. Two opposite directions.
I think we got good odds to have double-digit wins in our columns after this week. But again, hey, teams, they're always welcome to upset us and then diss us online because we got the picks wrong. I am always prepared for something like that situation.
Trust me, we know. I have conversations with players before where certain messages on this show were motivations for them in certain games. So we know that you guys listen. So to the three teams that we picked against, we will happily eat crow on rebound next week if you guys pull off upsets. And of course, for one of my colleagues, if you do beat my team, yes, you'll be talking to me anyway on the field after the game anyways, coach. But yes,
nice.
And I'm talking about Manas, by the way. But yeah, it's good. It's nice that we finally got a 3-game slate. Sorry for the extended show; it's a little longer than usual. 3-game slate this week. Last week was 1. 2 weeks ago was 2. 2 weeks after that was 2. So we finally back to 3. But yes, thank you to Trey Long. Action begins tonight, 7 o'clock on YouTube. Join our Discord. Join the family. We usually have a live chat during the game. So you can come join us and talk football while we're watching football. And to all my brethren who are in Jacksonville, see you Saturday night in the Shark Tank. I think it's time for us to end episode 103. Again, thank you for the follows. Thank you for the support. Really appreciate it. And thank you for the people who are following us on Twitter. We're getting 5 new additions on our Twitter account every single day. Same as our Facebook page. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Remember, we do this because we love the game. We do this because the athletes on those fields this weekend deserve the coverage that they need. So, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And without further ado, as we did say at the beginning of the show, we are going to get back to an older tradition of ours that we have had as all times have gone by. Enjoy week 7 of the NAL. Enjoy your road trip over to Fayetteville if you are going over to watch the Mustangs. Enjoy your game anywhere that you are playing, that you are seeing in person or watching on YouTube. And remember one thing, Jim, what do we got to tell the folks out there?
Don't be a jack out of the box.
Focus on your rules, people. Stay tuned to the next one as we'll be covering all the action and giving you our thoughts and takes on our next rebound session from week 7. Catch you on the other side. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. See you soon.
Covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Heilman and Jim